Speed Design Presentation 103. First, I hope everyone enjoyed a great weekend. A lot of the pictures and the information I'm going to show you today is from the weekend. It was a great opportunity for us to get customers their cars so they get out and play. And I want to review what we've done getting to here, what we've learned in how to make deliveries go faster, what we learned during NORA, and how we can make your experience taking delivery of your Speed UTV even better. Everyone we've got to interact with, I delivered every single car myself personally. So has Rob, taking the time to give people a full tutorial on the car, how it works, how it integrates. We've taken the time now to turn those into video tutorials so people later can go back and learn and re-watch them. Taught people how to drive their cars and all the little things that you need to be aware of so when you are out playing, you can utilize your car to the best of its ability. So Design 103, first, there are more sand dunes than Glamis. I want to point out this is Little Sahara up here in Utah, and all Memorial Day weekend we've been out there. This is up in Idaho sand dunes. If you haven't been up there, you should check out Mike's RV park up there and access the Idaho sand dunes. There's sand dunes everywhere, from the Great Lakes to Southern California to up into the mountains. So our cars aren't just sand dune cars. We've built them to be all-around cars, to be used in the desert, to be used in the dunes, to be used as pre-runners, to be updated to be race cars. And I want to start by reviewing why we raced the NORA 1000. So the NORA 1000, Rob commented that the NORA 1000 we were testing. I want to be clear on what we're testing. We're no longer testing our car for production. And obviously we're shipping cars, but we're testing so we can have the best race team now. And that takes a lot of understanding what we can do at speed, how fast we can drive, how hard we can push, what wears out, what doesn't last, what we have to keep an eye on in the pits. So I want to walk you through, it was great. Hey, Max was the rabbit. We let Max run as hard as he could every day. If you saw some of the videos and the live streams that we posted, we ran in-car cameras with Stellas on, so we could post all day long, 8 hours of racing. The average day was, I think, 350 miles, and one day was north of 400 miles. So 5 consecutive days, really no major issues except, actually I lost the water temp sensor on my car, and I didn't have a cap on my power steering pump on day 1, 4 miles from the finish. The cap had leaked all the power steering fluid out of my car, which cost me some time on day 1, and then a belt temp sensor that we now know how to cheat in a race to keep going, and I'll walk you through that here in a bit. But Max and Robbie, bone stock production car. Rob made it all the way down to the finish. Very little to do on the car every night. Mostly we were just air filters, checking fluids. If a jam nut was loose, we did that. If a CV boot was torn, we fixed that. But Rob and I never smoked a belt. We never changed a clutch. We never popped a tire. 1,300 miles are on these tires right here. We never changed a brake pad. Really a very seamless race. Obviously, Rob and I weren't pushing. We were there to support Max and learn for how hard he pushed. Max's biggest challenge, we learned 2 things on Max, was you have to run some form of tailgate, not tailgate, bed. We pulled the bed out of Max's car, or all race cars, to be light. But without the bed there, we plume just like every other manufacturer. We plume air, and when you plume air, it gets up into our air filters, and we get dirty air filters sooner. And our car has so many safeties in it. When it doesn't see the correct amount of airflow for the throttle position, it actually detunes the car so you don't suck sand into your motor. Mine and Robbie's, we never changed an air filter the whole ride because we had our beds in. So on race cars, we'll end up eventually tinning in the beds, again, to save weight, but we need that dirt to stay down. It's an advantage we have with our number plates being our intake for both our CVT and our clutch. CVT clutch and our intake for our air filters for our motor. So we'll have that dialed on our race cars, but that's something we caught. We learned about how hot we could run the belts. Max was a couple times in that 105 to 110 mile an hour range. but belt temps at that period, you have a very small window that you can run. So we have things we're working on. We ran clutch fans on our exhaust. We're looking at different things to be able to run wide open, because we don't have a motor issue running wide open. We don't have a water temp or oil temp issue, but we have to be conservative on belts. You know, this is an interesting storyline, but I don't know of, and I can be corrected here, but I don't know of any vehicle I've ever owned that I can run it at max RPM all day long. There's going to be something out there, but you know, our car runs north of 8,000 RPMs, and the race limits we put on them north of I think upwards of 9,000 RPMs. So if I rode dirt bikes, I've owned boats, I've had sports cars. They're outside of like NASCAR and IndyCar engines that sit there on the rev limiter, like the Indy 500 this weekend. They sat at 11,000 RPM, I think, all day at 200 plus miles an hour. But that's an IndyCar motor that was designed just to do that. And to think our engine, we're asking it to run wide open. You know, IndyCar had a gearbox. Our engine has the ability, obviously due to the CVT, to run wide open for a very long time. I think we showed them the dynos early on, you know, 5-minute sustained wide open throttle. We're never going to see that in the desert. But we will see long pulls where we want to run wide open and the belt might be our limitation. So we want to make sure we can run at 100 miles an hour in these races and not have to come out of the throttle to manage water temp, oil temp, belt temp. So as we progress in that area where we don't believe many of our customers will ever go, hopefully those new designs and our race secrets become products you can buy as accessories to make your experience in the car even better. But you know, our car, you know, we took customers for rides. Our car out of the box is 80 miles an hour. And we don't have any belt temp issues at 80 miles an hour. You know, if you're in the sand dunes with 4 people in it, you're going to have belt temp issues. It's hot. That's a lot of weight. It's a lot of load. But you know, you got to manage it. That's why we have a belt temp sensor that comes in our digital bundle. I will tell you, every one of our customers, but one that I delivered a car to, had a digital bundle installed, and that gave us belt temp sensor, front camera and backup camera, and tire sensors, and there's a couple more things, but all those are in the dash. So you hop in the car, you turn on the car, and as I teach this lesson of how you get to understand all the screens, you know, the first thing I say is, you want to manage your water temp, your oil temp, and your belt temp. And I hopped in the customer's car and I was like, well, the belt temp sensor is not working. And then I went a little further and I was like, wait a minute, the tire sensors are all blinking. They're not there. It says, you know, no tire sensor. And then I went to another screen and there was no cameras. I'm looking at how powerful this dash is, and I don't know, I didn't read the invoice on the customer's car to realize he had not ordered the digital bundle. And I grabbed my tech, I stopped, I got out of the car, I told the customer, wait a second, and I was like, I got the tech, I said, hey guys, nothing's working in this digital bundle. And he said, no, the customer asked to have it removed. So just know you lose a lot of features without the digital bundle in your car. A lot of them, like front cameras. I took a customer, I rode my dirt bike and I took a customer out riding one early morning as a way to show him how to use his car. We went up outside of Parker, up some really steep spines with a lot of blind breakover rises. Luckily, he could use me as something to spot off of. But the front camera allowed him to actually, or would allow him to actually look at his camera and to see, do I go right? Do I go down? You know, can I go straight over? So those are some of the advantages we built in. And until you really get out in the car and you go, wow, I really need to know what my belt is, because the last thing you want to do is grenade a belt under power. When you do, if you've driven any other UTV today, sometimes it takes out the plastic cover. It might go from there and take out an oil line or everything. You know, the belts are at tremendous velocity they're traveling at when they finally shear if they're under load. So with us, at least, you can always manage your belt temp. You can look at it and go, wow, I'm at 220 to 240 degrees. I probably should come out of the power. You know, we raced at much higher belt temps than that. We want to see how far we can go. You know, we could see 250, 270. But, you know, Rob and I never blew a belt, but Max blew a belt. Max got his air filters dirty, and he also knocked a few tires off. that's what happens when you drive in the dust and you go fast. So all these little things we're learning, and we're trying to make sure we have this. So when you get your car, one, we can teach you how to drive it properly and what to manage and what to look for, but to also make sure all the things we're learning in racing, from prep to maintenance, it helps. And you know, Nora's, that one 5-day race for us is a full year of racing. And when you look at how many different race days there are and the amount of miles on average per race, and you know, when we talk about going to Mexico and race and score, you know, San Felipe is always seen as a sprint race, and the 500 and the 1,000 are more endurance races. So everyone goes as hard as they can, and you'd be amazed the attrition that happens in Felipe because of how hard that terrain is and how people push. Well, that's how we wanted to run Nora. We wanted Max to run as hard as he could. So we could look at belt temps and top speed duration testing. How long did our brake pads? You know, Rob, forever, you know, I don't know if you guys know my background with brake pads, but I did a turnaround for Hawk Brakes, and I kept trying to get Robbie to run Hawk forever on his trophy truck. He was running performance friction, PFO1, and he said, Todd, I'm not changing. There's no reason for me to change. I don't need any more stopping power, and I need to make sure these pads last 1,000 miles when we race the Peninsula Run, and all that works. So if all that works, I don't need to change it. And I was like, well, we have better compounds, and we could try this. And he goes, well, my goal is to get to the Peninsula with brake pads and rotors left. And we know the PFO1 did that, so there's no reason to change. Eventually, we did more testing. We changed a bunch of things, and we run Hawk on SST trucks, and you know, all the different race cars we now own have been running Hawk for about 7 or 8 years now. But we want to know how long the brake pads lasted, how long the rotors lasted. You know, we all ran Willwood brakes and Willwood brake pads. Not one of us changed the brake pad during the race. Not one of us had to do anything to our calipers or our pistons. You know, did we have any belt issues? You know, Rob and I ran the same belt the whole 1,300 miles, and we never swapped a clutch. We did learn we had to blow out the clutches, especially on the silty days. We had some issues with the cars not wanting to freewheel on decel. So you'd want it to actually finally come off braking and actually just coast. But when they got really, really dusty, like day 4 in the silt beds, that evening we blew them out and they were perfect again. You know, what needs to be maintained during a longer race? You know, what needs to be checked at the pits? Do we check the jam nuts? Do you check the sight line on the oil tank? Is there a way to inspect different things we want to check on? You know, where I had an upper rod end get loose around 900 miles. You know, it didn't stop me from racing, it didn't do anything, but we check everything each night, and I replaced the rod end. I also had a CV boot tear. We replaced the CV boot tear, but it's given us a checklist as we come into the pits of what to quickly inspect to make sure things are still tight. And it teaches us how to prep for the next race. What we're doing with axles, CV boots, engines, gear oil, air filters. So that's why we race Nora. It's a tremendous thing. You'll see Rob and I launch the ability for, we're going to look at the number, but it will become first come, first serve. But I believe we're going to have about 100 customers for next year's Nora 1000 to come, and we'll do full support. And we'll make that an event that hopefully is a memory that you'll never forget. Nora is a pretty special time, and when done properly, you know, it's not challenging roads, but it is magical, and what you get to see and how you get to interact with a lot of us that have been down there for years. You know, everybody that's been racing in Baja forever, from the McMillans to the Herps to the Gordons to the Arcieros, to my good friend Mark Post, who wrecked his truck on day 2. But there's a lot of nostalgic people down there racing that are great to socialize. So it's an amazing event. So that's Nora. Deliveries. You've seen it on our social media. You've seen the trucks go down the road. I want to talk through deliveries, what we've seen, and then how that affects your car coming next, how we're going to make things go faster from what we learned in the last 2 deliveries. But you know, from open wheel to open truck car haulers to containers, we are improving our process and our time from receiving a car to getting to you faster. If you look at all these cars, they're all very different, but they all are are missing accessories. We've taken the time the last two deliveries to do all the accessories in the States. And I'm going to get to what we've learned from doing that. But I wanted to show you some of the great pictures of people's cars that get delivered. The trailers that people are showing up with, to leave with 2 4-seaters. I told you about Mike in Idaho Dunes RV. That's him up there this weekend. That's his RV park. We get cars, people coming from all over, all the way from northern, up in Sacramento, Idaho, and even Southern California. But we've had a great time meeting every customer. If I didn't post your picture, I apologize. We did deliver a ton of cars, and I just grabbed as many that were on my phone. This one was great. This went back up to Salt Lake. Event Racing. They've been great friends all these years, and you get to see some unique things from him. And he was out in Little Sahara all weekend. Cars with both, I believe these are San Felipe wraps, but one in a blue and one in a fade. They're both faded from lights to darks, but to see the 2 different cars side by side look pretty neat. And what I wanted to get to is what we have all these cars now staged. I believe we have over 500-600 cars waiting to be delivered. And when I say waiting, we have progressed in what we have to do for a dealer or for any remote delivery, which is like a PDI, what it takes to receive a car and make sure it can go to a customer, and all the different inspection things that we've had to learn in the process of delivering these cars, both for our team and then for you and any dealer that's receiving it. So we worked on these PDIs, and now we're working on accessories. We've documented how the frequency of installing a certain accessory goes. So do you do light bar, roof chase bar, roof rack, all the different things to make sure time of install, you're not taking a piece off that you just put on. So as we've done all that, Rob is now going to fly to the factory on Friday. We have 9 more cars of these, let's call it 600, that we said put all the accessories on. We're going to go inspect those 9 cars. As soon as they're done, they'll come on, they'll head this way, and then they'll start putting the accessories on all the rest of the cars. And that will allow us to very quickly start shipping cars in greater quantities so we can actually start getting cars to customers sooner. How this accessory installation goes will dictate how many cars we take in. Also, we're going to start on looking at how we can receive more cars in different locations at the same weekend. So we could be doing Havasu and Anaheim. We have another location in Anaheim. How do we work with our dealers? All these different things. Now that we are learning that the cars can leave the shop and not come back, and that the updates that we've done from the gearbox to the new servos and the steering for our customers, and everybody who has a car has already received all these updates, but these have been the last little pieces that we felt weren't a limitation to shipping a car, but would have been something that down the road would have been a model generation change. But instead, we wanted to make sure we had them in the cars today as customers took delivery, and we're making sure those changes are in every car we have. So every car already got the gearbox. Every car already has we call it the silver servo, and anything else we learned from how to adjust window nets properly so they open and close every time, how to adjust doors so the hinges catch every time, all these little things, how to mount a skid plate, how to run your antennas before you mount your roofs, all these different things we've learned to make sure install is quicker, and that will send these cars even sooner. Things that we did learn that I want to make people aware of. Luckily people had come and they had extra time. And I value people's time. I think it's an important thing to make sure when we set a delivery time that we meet it. But what we ran into is that when people got there, they saw all these other cars. They oh wow, I really want the kicker sound system, or wow, I'm going to go take my 35-inch tires and I'm going to bring them back. Well, it might be tomorrow they bring them back. Well, we can't do the final road test until we're done, or we can't set final alignment. So some of those slowed people down. I want to go through what we are asking of our customers. We want to get as many accessories installed prior to you showing up. Not that when you show up, we won't do additional accessory installs at any location we're at. But our goal is to make sure when you show up for a 2 o'clock delivery, that you're out in 2 or 3 hours. You know, it takes me an hour to train you on your car. We do a road test with you, you do paperwork. So it's 2.5, 3 hour process of just getting to understand the car and eventually getting on the trailer after you've taken a drive in the car as well. Some people have even elected to take the car and go play in the dirt and then come back, which is great. I mean, you own the car, you can do whatever you want. But there are accessories that take a significant amount of time to install, and they do slow the process down. And if we're not prepared ahead of time, that it slows everybody down. So I want to go through what takes time. Really neat. This is a trail kit. Tire, jack mount, jack, and all your oil and your tie rod all fit in a rectangle box. This is a customer's El Jefe with all 3 boxes and the trail kit with the manual, manual meaning you use an electric impact jack on it. Putting the boxes in takes time. We have to drill through the bed. This is a good hour-and-a-half process to do this when you get there. So if you know after seeing this you want storage boxes, please get online and get with your sales rep and get them ordered in time. We also don't inventory. I would tell you that 85% of our customers left with these boxes after they saw them, but I don't have that much inventory. I don't think to carry that. If I'm only delivered 25 cars, I'm not going to stock 16, 17 spare boxes. So as we're bringing inventory over, we're trying to be conscious of what is a break fix and what is an accessory. We never thought we'd have this much demand for the items I'm going to share with you today. So if you're looking at storage boxes and you want to find a way to carry all your spares properly from your jacks, the jack mount, tie rods, lubricants, this is all additional storage. Please make a point to order. The Willwood brake kit. We have to press out the studs and put bigger studs in. All the calipers have to be removed and reinstalled. All the brake lines have to be flushed. At least a 5-hour job. It's half your day. So if you get a 4 o'clock closing, you're not picking your car back up till tomorrow. So same with the iBox springs. All the shocks have to come off. It's a good 3 hours, 2.5 minimum, to do all the springs on your car. So if you're gonna put springs on, please order them today so we have them installed before you get there. It takes us a ton of time. And this is a day. Between springs and Willwards, it's a day. And we had a lot of customers when they got there or take their 35s, and you can still order 35s, just tons of them still. But they also said, heck, let me do the springs and the Willwards. Well, they waited an extra day. A lot of them didn't have a problem waiting a day. None of them had a problem waiting a day. But it was a lot of burden on our team, and our guys were working nights and through the weekends and 15, 16-hour days to get people everything they wanted. Roof racks. If you haven't seen the roof rack in person, it looks amazing on the car. You can stand on it, you can sit on it. It's strong enough to support anything you really want to put up there. We sat up on it and just was up there, kind of sitting up in the dunes last winter, and used it as a viewing area, so a viewing deck. But you can put any cargo. We're all about keeping the center of gravity real low. But if you are going on long journeys, or you just want it because it looks cool, you look at the Sprinter van model these days, and everyone's making the outside of the Sprinter look amazing with bumpers and roof racks and ladders and bike racks and all this stuff, and you go inside and it's empty. This has got an amazing cosmetic value as much as it has function. So if you're just trying to make your car look cool, it does take us time. So please let us know ahead of time. Also, you can run double light bars. This is set up for a 40 and a 50. So if you wanted the ultimate lighting, you could actually run 2 light bars on this. But it takes us time. Those roofs have to be drilled for the roof racks. And if you have roof racks already on and you want to add a windshield, all of it has to come off. And we have to take the roof rack off the roof. All these things have to happen to put a windshield on. So if you want a windshield, we have to trim every windshield to fit. They're not pre-cut. So eventually they will be all pre-cut, but if you're planning on adding a windshield, please add it now. So that way your windshield, your roof rack, your light bar, all of it integrates. Otherwise it's hours. And that hours delays your delivery and someone else's. If you haven't used Garmin, this is not a log install by no means, but what it is something pretty amazing. What no other GPS I've ever had to use. And by the way, these are the two mounts. They're C mounts from Ram. This is just their little inch to inch and a half bar mount. This goes on the V bar, and this is a C mount 2 inch or 2.5. And that goes right on our V bar. It sits right above your radio intercom and points right at driver. It fits perfectly on our dash. But what I loved about this is I could say, hey, I want to go to Chimote Wash, and I'm sitting here, and it would give me the option of how difficult the trail it could be for me to get there. So we're in Havasu, and I said, take me to this location, be it a restaurant bar in the desert. It could take me all the way to Vegas, and I could pick what route, how difficult. It will map me all the way through the desert to that location using known trails. It also has the ability to notify you where your other drivers or teammates are on at the same time. It has satellite capability to be able to track other cars with you. Also allow your loved ones who are not with you in the car to actually know where you are at all times. So if you ever need help. And when we don't have Wi-Fi, it has text messaging at all times, both to the Garmin itself or back to anyone's phone. So if you haven't ordered this from us, they are in limited demand. It's a phenomenal product. You'll see it on every one of the Speed UTVs. I think I've covered everything I could today. Like I said, Rob's going to be at the factory in Vietnam, going over accessories. Those will ship our next 9 cars for us to do final inspection mechanically here. And at that time, there'll be full gas on putting all accessories on people's cars at the factory, which will allow us to ship as many cars. We're already building 500 more cars. Hopefully, you'll see pictures of the finalized Diablo and Bandits next week when Rob is there. Those cars are done. So for the El Diablo people, I think you'll be really excited to finally see that car, and that will go into production. And we're off to the races. It's going to be a fun summer. I think you'll get to see us ramp up faster and faster our deliveries. So we'll go from 25 to 50 to 100 to 500 a month as soon as we understand what we're doing is getting people comfortably in their car with the proper training. So we're ramping up our staff. We're trying to eventually do multiple locations at a time. Our goal is to start eventually bringing 500 and 1,000 cars in a month. And we have a very big back order for retail customers, and then we have a tremendous back order for dealers. People have asked, hey, if I order a car today, when will I get there? We're telling everyone we're probably a year back order on new sales. Our goal is to get everybody that's been on our pre-order list, their cars. If there's 4,000 pre-orders, that's a good 5 months for us at a minimum. Maybe 6 from today to get everyone caught up on those, and then go straight into dealers model year orders that are a different type of order that we have that they ship quarterly to our dealers. So I thank you for your time. Memorial Day weekend. This is the customer I went out and rode dirt bikes with. It was amazing. He brought his whole family down. Got to drive in the desert with me. We got up on all these spines you can see here in Parker. It was a great time. So I hope all of you get to join me and Robbie and our staff at one of these deliveries. Appreciate everyone's excitement and the feedback we're seeing out there from our customers, and all the great comments that are coming through as how amazing the car is. Rob and I and our staff put a ton of passion and years of knowledge into these cars, and it's paying off. So I look forward to seeing everybody in it, and have a happy holiday. Thanks.